Beautiful beaches with hotels full of life. Dense jungles teeming with wildlife and water. An active volcano that showcases off incredible looking and far-reaching vistas. And the Baja Desert, where dunes become ramps for spectacular jumps. These are just a part of Forza Horizon's version of Mexico, and it is the star of the show in this 5th game in the series, which is releasing day and date into Xbox Game Pass. How different is this title from the previous games, or is it more of a culmination of everything that came before? Have they finally figured out a progression system that works well? Let's find out together in the XboxEra review of Forza Horizon 5. Earlier this year, I took a look back at Forza Horizon 4 and its expansions for the site. Going back on a Series X, I was stunned at how good it looked and ran. And then Forza Horizon 5 came along, and it is such an enormous improvement in every way that I'm having a hard time believing it. Not only are the graphics a huge step up, but they finally fixed my main issue with the series, which is the sense of progression. The map is bigger than ever, and I wouldn't be surprised if it featured more icons than ever by the time you're in the late game. But never once did I feel lost, and the filter system made it easy to focus on the events I was interested in. Almost every single event in the game earns you accolades. These are the number by which you will unlock expeditions, which are the heart of the title. There is a great incentive finally for winning races and events now, as higher placement helps you earn more accolades so that you unlock the next thing more quickly. You'll use these accolades in 6 different areas: the main festival, Apex Road Racing, Wilds Dirt Racing, Baja Cross Country, Rush PR Stunts, and the street scene, which obviously enough features street races. The order in which you unlock is up to you. Do you really enjoy PR stunts? Well, use your first unlocks there and get every speed trap and danger sign into the game as quickly as possible. It's a much more basic and easily understandable progression system in comparison to the past titles, where things always felt a bit nebulous and out of your control. It led to me unlocking every expedition fully and becoming a Hall of Fame member within a few days of getting the review code, courtesy of Xbox, of course, because I was having so much fun. Knowing exactly what I was working for was a major part of that. One of the other main reasons is that this is perhaps the best looking game I have ever played. I'm not sure I can overstate just how good looking this game is on my Series X. There can be some noticeable pop-in at times in the performance 60 frames per second mode, but my god, is it worth it. Almost all of my footage for the video review here is in performance mode because it is simply stunning. For those who aren't as frame conscious, there is a flawless 30 frames per second quality mode which is available as well. Either way, the game features some of the best looking scenery of all time. Having this much density and detail in a map that is so large is an incredible achievement for the team at Playground. Seasons and storms are back from Forza Horizon 4, and the new sandstorms are used just often enough so that they never become intrusive, as you really can't see much, if anything, when inside one. The cars themselves look better than ever, and the quality mode even features a self-reflective ray tracing mode when using the Forza Vista system. This allows you to hover around and go in the cars. The environment of the showroom isn't reflected, but cars with spoilers or anything hanging off reflect their own body well. Even without quality mode on though, the game's use of baked-in reflections looks fantastic. Some cars do suffer from a bit of an overly reflective surface, but on the whole, the effect looks so good that I could see casual fans thinking the entire game was using ray tracing. Environmental effects like mud, sand, and water are convincing, and using the drone mode showcases how much more alive Mexico feels than the areas of previous entries. Not only is there wildlife to be found, but there are actual people living. Flying around the huge beachfront hotel shows people hanging out and enjoying the show, and you can even see into the rooms, though it's a pretty small set of actual looks for any of the indoor spaces. This, of course, is all in service of a world-class driving model. The Forza series is well known for being more of a hybrid simulation arcade style. This simcade approach really took off in the Horizon series with a focus on going off-road, and it has grown bigger and wilder with each entry. With a mountain and desert biome, it is more arcade-like than ever as you take a $1 million Bugatti and send it flying 2,000 feet off a cliff, or race a Ferrari through a desert with reckless abandon. The skill and upgrade system is back in a mostly similar fashion from 4. All of the various perilous driving techniques you employ will earn you skill experience, which will then turn into skill points. You then use these on a per-car basis, though thankfully any skill point you earn can be used on any car. It is just one of the many carrots on a stick that the game presents to players at all times. There are over 500 vehicles on offer here, and they have never felt better. Certain vehicles will flourish in the right setting, but you can use whatever you want at any time outside of the game's story missions, which always give you a car tailored for the experience. One of my first purchases was, of course, the Warthog from Halo, which has no business going up against a supercar, and thankfully it never has to. Each race matches up cars from a certain class and type of vehicle. If you use a supercar, you race supercars. If you use a truck, you race trucks, and so on. It is a tried and true method of keeping things fair, and thankfully it felt a bit more challenging this time. Instead of easily winning every race once the game told me I should bump up the difficulty, I actually struggled for a bit until I went in and tuned up my cars to be a little lighter and faster, using the game's built-in auto-tune feature, of course, as I'm an idiot when it comes to vehicles. Everything about how the game plays is around accessibility and just how much of it you want. There has been a focus on helping as many people play games as possible lately from Xbox, and it is on full display here. From the bevy of driving assists we know and love to new ones, you can make this game as easy or difficult as you want. If you're playing offline, you can even slow the speed of the game down for those who need a little bit more time as their reaction speeds might not be able to keep up. It is a commendable effort, and the large selection of languages is great to see as well. Xbox has had an issue with localization support, and I do hope that Forza Horizon 5 is a step in the right direction there too. The new Events Lab mode is deep and addicting. I'm not much of a creator personally, but even the basic things people were coming up with during the review period showcased how this mode could become Forza Horizon's answer to Halo's Forge mode. Forzathon is back as Forza Arcade, though finding anyone to do them with was tough pre-release, and the Eliminator has returned as well, but suffered from a similar issue. While the tone of the game might be a bit too much for me at times, it is undeniably a big step up in terms of presentation. The expeditions feature various stories such as finding a Volkswagen Beetle bar find that sets you off in a series of races and events centered around the car, eventually gifting it to you in the end. Another is about a Lucha Libre and gives you a fantastic looking luchador outfit at the end of its conclusion. Showcase events are back as well, and they're as scripted feeling as ever. Thankfully, there aren't a lot of them, so they didn't wear out their welcome for me. My main issue is that you always win by a split second, and it feels incredibly forced. As long as you don't purposefully throw it by breaking or hitting a wall at the end, the game always makes sure to slow down your AI opponent just enough for you to pull ahead and win. One new area is that your playable character has finally learned how to speak. At the start of the game, you will be tasked with customizing your character. It's an improved system that offers one masculine and one feminine voice, your choice of pronouns, and a decent amount of character models. It'll start off by pulling in your character from Forza Horizon 4 if you've ever played the game, as well as your name. It was surprising but cool to hear the announcer say Jesse without me having to choose a thing. Car sounds are the best they've ever been, and it is clear that Playground has put an inordinate amount of effort into improving things here. Using cars from both Forza Horizon 4 and 5 and jumping back and forth between them thanks to Quick Resume, it is an obvious and immense improvement. The soundtrack seems fine, but I mostly had the radio off and I was either listening to podcasts or my own music the majority of the time, as I am definitely not the target audience of the in-game radio. Stability and polish-wise, the game feels rock solid, as long as you're not using Quick Resume too often. During the review period, there was a 20GB patch, which did improve things dramatically, but I still had a few small issues after unsuspending the game. They were mostly audio related, as a few times I started up an event and realized there was no dialogue, or half the sound effects appeared to be missing. Closing the game and opening it back up is thankfully an incredibly fast experience, as loading times are almost non-existent once you're in the main map. It didn't happen often, and the game was great about reconnecting to the online servers quickly after resuming, so I'm hoping they can tighten it up in the future. Those loading speeds, though, are mighty impressive. After a short load into the game proper, you will never see one that lasts longer than 2 or 3 seconds the rest of the time. There are new houses to buy across the map, and getting the westernmost house unlocks fast travel. And fast travel is fast. It felt like 1, maybe 2 seconds, no matter how far across the map I was going. The same goes for loading in a new vehicle. The time between choosing your new car and it loading up is faster than I could take a sip of water. It's seriously impressive and helps lower any fatigue you might feel when experimenting with new vehicles. I used to dread the wait on the old platforms in previous titles, as it would take upwards of a minute for my car to load in. Forza Horizon 5 is nearly perfect for me, and there's just no getting around it. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it does make it smoother and faster than ever. Jaw-dropping graphics are paired with best-in-class handling and excellent audio. The story mode and progression is the best in the series has had yet at this scale, and while the tone isn't for me, I didn't find it nearly as annoying as the characters could be in the Forza Horizon 4. Obviously, this game is on Game Pass, as it is a first-party title, and with how successful the last game was, I'm sure that most of you will be checking this one out too. It is not only one of the best games to release this year, it is a true showcase of just what a next-gen title can be.